thewellnesscouch.com, streaming wellness into your lives. This is Up for a Chat with Cindy O'Mara, Karen Smith, and Kim Morrison.
Here we are, up for a chat about the hottest topics that are important to you, inspiring you to awaken the change within. I'm Karen Smith.
I'm Kim Morrison.
And I'm Cindy O'Mara.
And we're all together.
Yeah, we are too.
Yeah.
We're usually on Skype.
I know.
Gosh,
This
so
is the
cool.
first time we've actually been together this year, other than in Peru, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You remember when we went through Peru?
I still think of that. That was. I can't take my jewelry off that I bought.
I see that on you.
Just
It's
can't
just
take
beautiful.
my Pachamama and the
Chicana.
the calendars. What was it called?
Chicana.
I just can't take them off. I wear them every day. It's so precious. Yeah.
And I think we're thinking about it so much more right now because we're working so hard on bringing our New Zealand trip together next year, and then also our amazing trip to Africa, which is all out there now, guys and gals. So if you guys are interested in joining us on either one of those trips, we're going to give you the website at the end of the recording today where you can go and check it out and potentially join us when we trek through New Zealand and trek through Africa. So it's so exciting.
But we only have 11 spots left now, don't we?
Well, as a matter of fact, we do. And I actually think New Zealand is sold out. I still have to check our final figures. Yeah. I think New Zealand is pretty well sold out. But but Africa, I think we've only got 11 spots left.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So you've got to get in quick, peeps.
I have a feeling we have 10. I know somebody who is definitely coming, but she just hasn't. And I said to her, start working. More hours.
But it's not that expensive now. Like it's only, maybe just over $1,000 a month. And you'll have the thing paid off in 18 months. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Anywho, less about us and more about you. Welcome to the show, beautiful Elspeth.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we've had you on the show before.
No, this is my first time on the show.
Really?
Which blows me
We've
away.
talked about
I
Elspeth.
was going to
say, didn't
We've
we
talked about
do Elspeth?
No, we haven't done it each other yet. So today's the day.
I guess that we are taking this to another level today. I love it.
So, Elspeth, tell me about your life. Let's start back before you were born. No.
It all started.
I know a little bit about your journey, more so in the last couple of years because you've been very involved in changing habits as well as 28. So I know that, but I want to know what got you on this whole journey, because I know you're a psychologist. So, and a psychologist now who has an interest in the gut-brain axis and how we're now realizing that there is a big neck between the brain and the body, and that perhaps our physical body is just as important as our.
Yeah, definitely.
So, how does this start for you?
How do I start? So, as a family, when I grew up, we travelled a lot, and my parents were, quite different. We had an interesting.
I had a couple of those.
Interesting lifestyle. It was really good, but I left home when I was 15, and then worked full time, and I studied full time, and that sort of set the scene for the rest of my life, really. But so I then fell into a relationship at 16 that was quite abusive. So there was a lot of sexual abuse and a lot of domestic violence, physical abuse. So I had 2 children very young, when I was 18 and 20. And then I was divorced with 2 kids by the time I was 21, with court cases going on, and it was just mayhem. So for me...
Can I just ask you a little bit about that? So from 16 you met this person until 21. What was going through your head with the abuse? Did you think it was normal? Because... you were only young.
Yeah, and I think for me, I never had any education around domestic violence or what it actually meant. And so when the behaviours started occurring, innately I loved the person, and innately I do love people. So I think the best of people. And it was a cycle that I was caught in terms of I love, but then this treatment of abuse. And I fell pregnant quite early into that relationship too. So I had to, that staying part. And then I was quite isolated from my family. So I didn't have a social network that was, Elspeth, what's going on here? What are you doing? Like, why are you letting, and that happened later on when we were living in Mount Isa. And so it became, you know, for me, out of that, the beautiful part of that relationship was my 2 children, but also the understanding that I got about myself. So Steve Irwin died, and that was one of the pinnacle points, is he died. And I was like, he did what he loved. Like, he was passionate. He died happy. And I sat there the day I found out, and I thought, what, am I doing what I love? No. And I knew that my inner talk and that my inner spirit I wasn't honouring it, you know. And so I just woke up. There was a lot of other events at that time as well. But with his death, I thought, I need to wake up and I actually need to listen to my guide and who I am. So those 2 years after leaving were probably the most horrific 2 years of my life, even after that relationship. So getting my kids safe, getting myself on my feet, starting to study, working full time.
At 21.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had great support from my family.
And by the way, Steve would probably love that, to have heard that. You know, I was a friend of Steve's, and it was pretty traumatic when he passed away.
Yeah.
But it's so nice that he jolted you into your reality that you needed to step up and do something different. So he would have loved that.
Yeah. I think it's special when you see someone do what they love doing, what they're passionate about. And that's, you know, when I see that in the 3 of you, is that it's just beautiful, isn't it? Like, it's what life's about.
It is. Steve would come here to this house. So we're in my home at the moment. So he'd come here, and the kids were only little, and he had such passion all the time. What you saw was who he was. Yeah. He wasn't anybody different on the camera as he was off the camera. Like, he was always excited and full of life, and that was a
beautiful man.
Yeah, he was. But I think he really touched a lot of people. So
in many different ways.
Yeah.
And, you know, just that message alone of living your passion and living your dream is what it's about. So for me, that's, you know, was one of the big pinnacle points. So I then went to Toowoomba after and he started the healing process, and with the kids, and my family's there. So my community began that I then did my psychology and anthropology degree. So I did a double major and I did a grad dip, and I did lots of study. Like, I think you look at my studies and people like, what are you doing that for? So so I started, and then I did 5 years as a domestic violence counsellor. So for the 5 years I had a DV relationship, I gave that back in service. That was my community service. So, but I had the most beautiful experiences being able to sit with people and be able to hold that space so that they could have the nurture and the place to heal. What I found towards the end of that was I'm in a system where I'm not making preventative change, but I'm not also doing real empowering work. So I sat with myself, read Katie Byron, Loving What Is, and I started doing the work. And then I started goal boarding, and I, you know, sat with friends around, what am I good at? What am I passionate about? And how do I bring this together? Rang Changing Habits, and was like, Jordan, when are they actually going to do an education course? She's like, oh, we don't, you know, there might be one happening, but, you know, so I was like, right, I'll do IIN, and did that, and thought I'll do this health coaching thing. And then as soon as your education course came up, like, totally in. I was like begging you on my application, I have to be in this. You have to have me there. And so, yes, that was quite interesting. And so I started the business, Food for Life Coaching Counselling, in 2012, innately just to empower women to cook and to, you know, do a bit of counselling with them. And then from there, I began using different modalities, you know, with fast EFT,
Could you explain that?
So fast EFT works on a concept of there's hypnosis, NLP, visualization, like lots of different modalities sort of brought into one and tapping that you look at the belief system behind the story and you can go right back and pinpoint it to where it began. So unconscious mind, like as you know, Karen, is like this amazing puzzle that it just interlinks with each other, and these strange stories we create that keep us in our safe place, that can innately stop us from achieving because of our own fear or what we're scared of. So I started using that for myself, and it transformed my whole entire life. So that's using it with clients. I've seen bigger shifts than I've ever seen them ever. But also my other focus was health, lifestyle, having a great community and friendship and support. And I thought, how do I bring this together so that in Toowoomba we can build a healthy community? Because my whole philosophy is to get people healthy. That's it. And that's what drives me every single day. So I started the Toowoomba Community Health meetings, and we meet every fortnight, and people come along, and we have different health practitioners come, and they talk about health in their own modality. And it sort of got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then I needed a bigger space. So that's when the cafe came along. So the cafe came along, and that was my big space where I could work and have a hub where people can come and connect. 20% of my business is the cafe. 80% is really the long-term vision, goal, the coaching, the message around building that community.
So I would like to ask you, as a busy mum and, you look so mischievous right now. I just have to say
you can't not look at Kim and go, oh.
She's up to something this one. So I wanted to know. So many women will be listening to this going, she's got 2 kids, she was young, she has gone through a massive emotional upheaval, but she studied with a double major. And then she did INN, and then she did Changing Habits, and
I did
28 HLE program, and she participates in creating community get-togethers, and she started a business.
So people say, how do you do it when you got 2 businesses? I work for Changing Habits as well, doing the assessment, and I'm doing my thesis this year. I'm telling you, it's not glamorous.
Although she looks glamorous.
Gorgeous.
I love doing what I do, and yes, I push my limits. I do know that. And for me, it is so natural for what I do. If I wasn't doing it, I don't know what I'd be doing. Like, it is this, I don't know how to describe that feeling inside of myself that it's this, it just goes. It's like this burning fire of passion that is.
And it's a love. I think it's a love.
It's a love.
If you love what you do.
No.
These things in.
No, we all love doing things. We all love it. But the question is how do you prioritize which one, or how do you make sure you don't sacrifice sleep, or how do you make sure you get your thesis done? Like seriously, people are going to be listening to this going, well, they might have already switched off because in some ways it's too big.
So how do I structure my week? So I have either a day or 2 days blocked out specifically for uni. Now, I may have to sort of juggle a few things in that day if I have to answer phone calls, or I flight mode my phone and I just go, no, this is me, and I'm in my cocoon. So depending on that day where I know I can handle what, so I have my uni days, I have counselling, coaching days, and then I have a couple of days I work in the cafe, and then we have my kids' time. So I do have a diary that's heavily, like, green is personal, red is work. You know, I have a diary that is quite color-coded, so I know what I'm doing and I can visually look at that. My social life is probably something that has been on the downer. So I'm actually trying to engage more and go out with my friends. Like, I went to breakfast this morning with a beautiful friend and it was just so lovely. I was like, this is the best. So by the 21st of October, hopefully I'll do more of that. So I do make sure that my time is organised.
So you are very organised. So you're not haphazard. You're not do this when you get a chance and fit that in when you get a chance, and you're not kind of a bit reactive. You're more structured.
I do have organised, but then I go, this morning, today, this is what I need to do. So I won't think about today last week. I will think about that this morning. So I've learnt in that sense to be quite mindful of just being in the moment and not be overwhelmed in what I have.
Yeah.
Like, I know my thesis is due on the 21st of October. I know I've got days that are blocked out, but I'm not going to sit there
and panic about it
today because right now I'm here and I want to enjoy today and now. And I see my supervisor, you know, today and, that's my next step. So I chunk my processes. And I also use, if I get that anxious feeling, I let it go and I tap. so I do have strategies and meditate and just try and have that moment of peace and sit within that.
Do you know, it's really actually quite fascinating what you're talking about. I think when a person is capable, and I know that to a lot of people, we're so conditioned, like to the world at large, we're so conditioned to have your daily planner, have your priorities in place, you know, be very structured in order to achieve everything that we need to achieve day by day. But what is really, really fascinating is that if a person is able to be 100% present in the present moment, in fact, time stretches.
Yep.
And I don't think that people realize that until they do that, that when you are totally present in the existing moment, time stretches, the existing moment becomes far more qualitative rather than quantitative.
For sure.
And your ability to produce more in that moment is accelerated. So that then the pressure doesn't actually mount like you think, like, you know, we would think that it would. The pressure actually reduces because you are so present to what's in front of you in that moment. And, of course, there are things that need to be planned for, you know, like going to the dentist next week or whatever, and your thesis and all those sorts of things. They need to be planned for. You can't just, you know, walk around with your thumb up your bum and hope for the best. But I think that that's really a huge key. Is to just let yourself off the hook, know what you need to achieve, and then just be present as each moment unfolds to achieve that particular outcome. It's really cool.
Yeah, I think so.
You know, there's something that's quite cool about having the two of you, Karen and Elspeth, on together. I've been dying to ask this question with people like you two.
Oh dear.
Yeah. It could be
mine too.
It could be a little bit rabbit hole-ish.
Oh dear.
But in my observation of watching people over the last 2 decades and listening to stories and drama and people's caught up in the I don't know, he said, she said, and it's not fair, and the life sucks, and I hate myself, or I'm fat, or I'm not good enough, or like there is so much out there. Is it necessary as part of the human psyche to be in that space or to get to that level to find yourselves a way out of that or to understand what's possible at the other extreme?
So so you're saying, do we have to have that contrast?
Yes.
In order to know the opposite number?
Yes.
Go for it. Over to you.
Me? Oh, goodness. Oh, look, for me, like if I reflect on the journey that I see within women around me and how a lot of women have a not good enough thing, right? Or, you know, I'm not looking this way and I'm not doing this, or that they'll make that judgment, is that we've got to look at that, what's driving it, and that fear and belief. If we let that go, if we let that story go, we can live in a more peaceful sense. So I think when we're quite grounded in who we are, we're okay, that we can have that self-acceptance and self-love. And that can be quite a journey to get to, because in this world, there's this element where media tells us what we should look like and what we should be like and so forth. And it's not actually reality as well.
So is there something going on in the brain to have these stories and dramas and the unconscious belief that we're not good enough? Is there chemistry and science in behind this, or is it just part of the human psyche that we become twerps at times?
It's just conscious thinking of that whole...
I love how you call us twerps. I do like that.
It's a twerpy moment, though.
I know.
To me, I see two different minds. Like if you're sitting with a mind that's full of chatter, or you're sitting with a mind that's quiet and accepting, and how do you find that inner balance and that peaceful place?
Loving what is.
In loving what is, yeah, and just going, it is what it is. You know, if you have a bathroom fall moment, just honour that and be okay with that. Yeah, like, do you know what I mean? Like when you do, and it's part of we all do that, but should we be ashamed of it? No, we shouldn't. And, you know, how do we talk about that and put the discussion on the table? So
I love the way Dr. Sarah Farrant talks about this, that she says, you know, people say you're angry. Oh, you shouldn't be angry. Whereas she's like, honour the anger.
Oh, yeah.
Honour the beauty, honour the disruption, honour the challenge. But my question to you both gets back to, and I love what you're saying. I understand that there's two minds. I understand it's quiet and that peace and serenity and self-love. But someone listening to this, going through a process right now, maybe giving us the fingers going, oh, it's all very good and well, you know, but when you're in the moment of the challenge or the emotions are high and we know intelligence is low, how do we step into that place, or how do we push ourselves to create new ways of getting there?
I love how you're all looking at me. Okay, so here's the answer.
Yeah, right.
Okay, here we go.
I have pen pause ready now.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's actually not as complicated as we think that it is. Being human is the most simple process, but also the most advanced process. So this piece of life, and I'm pointing to myself when I say this piece of life, I am a piece of life. And when we go through our upbringing, we are all subjected to the way that our parents bring us up, and they were subjected to the way that their parents brought them up, and so on. So it becomes a generational hand-me-down in terms of what we focus on and how we become formed with our quote-unquote values. So then we go to school, and then we get caught up in an education system, which is all about learning by rote, understanding habitual patterns. You know, if you learn 2 plus 2 equals 4, you don't need to really understand what that's going to mean for you later. Just learn it. So we learn how to become habituated through our education system. We learn how to memorize more so than we learn how to learn. Then we come out and we go to work and we learn how to please so that we don't get fired. And part of our reward is our payment. You know, we get paid for the hours that we dedicate to a job. So we understand what reward is and what pleasing is. So we're constantly, throughout the course of our lives from childhood, we're constantly looking at an outside world for validation of who and what we really are. So if I do things right, if I do things in the way that my mum tells me to do them, then that makes me a good person. When I go to school, if I fit in with my friends and I do well with my grades, then that makes me a good person. And when I go to work, if I'm pleasing to my boss and I do my job well, I get paid, and that makes me a good person. So we're constantly looking at this outside world for our validation of who and what we are. But unfortunately, we've never been conditioned to have an inside-out perspective. We've always had an outside-in perspective. So the inside-out perspective is very simple. It's a very, very simple process, but it really is for everybody who's on the other end of this podcast listening. If you're going through some hell right now, this is really the recipe. This is the way through. And that is to really understand that you, the essence of you, and when I say the essence, probably the easiest word to use is the soul. You know, when I say the soul, everybody just instantly goes to that inside place that's very authentic, that's very genuine. When all the doors are closed, when all the lights are out, it's the you that's with you, and you know that you. You were there before any experience was there. You are there before any thought can be there. You are there before any experience can be there or any emotion can be there. So if we think about our experiences come and go. You know, they might last 10 years or 10 minutes or 10 days or 10 weeks, but experiences, they come and go. Thoughts come and go. They repeat themselves round and round for a couple of days, but eventually they find somewhere else, you know, to go and manifest. But thoughts are circular and they circulate and then they eventually go. And emotions, yeah, you know, I might feel anger for a little bit and then we feel tired and then we feel sad and then we feel hopeful and then we feel bored and then we get excited again. So we go through this emotional tone scale. And all of that is temporary. And they're all external, if you like, to the you that is the cup that holds all of that. So if you're trying to imagine yourself, your soul of you is like a cup. And all of those things, thoughts, emotions, and experiences all exist inside of the cup. But does any of those things actually change the cup? The cup stays the same. The cup is unchanged, untouched, unaffected, no matter what happens inside of it, whether you put tea inside of your cup or coffee or hot chocolate or bone broth. Turmeric latte. Turmeric latte. So if we think of ourselves that way and we bring our awareness and our attention back to the soul, back to the seat of the soul, then in actual point of fact, we can be with any emotion. We can be with any experience. We can be with any thought process. We can be with it. Because to think that we shouldn't have it or to push it away is kind of delusional. You know, and what we resist persists. It is part of being human. But when you bring your awareness to the cup, to the seat of the soul, rather than what's going on inside of the cup, so we see that the reality is the cup rather than what's going on inside of the cup as reality. Because the only thing that's actually real is the cup because it's permanent. Everything else comes and goes. Nothing else, nothing inside of that cup is ever permanent. So why on earth would we, as logic, but of course we've never been conditioned this way, but as logic, why would we attach to something that's temporary and call that life and call that reality and call that me when it comes and goes and it's temporary? We've just had our attention in the wrong place. And hopefully if you listen to this podcast, the whole invitation is to really bring our awareness to the cup, because when you have your awareness on the cup, you can make decisions like that and back yourself. You can have unbelievable clarity, unbelievable direction, and you can have it in 5 minutes. This is not something that takes work. And it's not different for each person. So there's none of this, oh, it works for you, but it doesn't work for me. I have to do what's right for me. Crap. This is the same for every single human being on the face of this planet. Every single one of us has that soul. It feels exactly the same for every single one of us. And if we could relate to that as who we are, then the ups and downs of emotions, the ups and downs of experience, the ins and outs of thoughts just become part of the richness, the color, and the texture of life. And you become closer to the ability to choose and select what kind of texture you want to have in your day today, what kind of color you want to invite in your day today, rather than it being random. You wake up in the morning and life just smacks you in the chops and you hope for the best. So it's really about getting that shift of awareness and attention from all of the outside stuff that we think is life back into what is actually life. It's the only... And, you know, if you're not a God, if you don't believe in God, it's okay, just use another word, but it's the only real thing that was ever created in us. Everything else has been man-made. Everything else we created, our beliefs, our values, our story, our emotions, our thoughts, our experiences, we are the constructor of all of that. Now, if we made it, we can unmake it. You can change your mind like that. You can change your emotions in a heartbeat. So you can do whatever you want. But the only thing that is already always happening inside of you that is unchanging, unaffected, is the soul of you, the real you. And we have a better relationship with all the stuff that's temporary than what we do with us inside. So the invitation is to change that, have an inside-out perspective rather than an outside-in perspective. And the color of the day changes. The blue becomes like this beautiful, soft, powdery, extraordinary experience that you just are in awe of curiosity about what that is. You don't think that you know what the sky is. You just get curious about what the sky is for the day, and all of a sudden your perspective about the day changes because you're in choice of the kind of texture and richness that you want to bring to your day.
It's so beautiful, and it is so real, and it's so authentic, like what you're saying. I just want to ask you both, and particularly maybe you, Elspeth, when you have someone come into your clinic then, like to hear that beautiful way that is spoken, but to hear someone come in, or if someone's listening to this and they're in the depths of despair, they've just lost somebody, their heart's broken, they've just found out news that's whacked them across the chops. What steps would you both give to someone to keep in the work of that then? Because it's easy to say, like when you're saying that to me right now, I'm going, I know, that's so right. So what's the step to be there?
The key, Kimmy, and I'll say this really quick and then I'll shut up. But the key, you don't try and do the work in the heat of the moment. Because in the heat of the moment, you're always going to go to your default position. And your default position is what your conditioning is. So ideally, be in the work in every moment so that then when challenge does hit you, you've got choice, as opposed to going to an unconscious behavior that has been habituated since the day you were born. And ideally, we should all be able to reach a point in our lives where we draw the line in the sand and we say, okay, I'm going to start working on a new experience of life because the one that I've had is crap and I'm done with it. I'm tired of it. I'm exhausted. So I'm willing to experience life on a different plane in a different way, and the work starts today. And it's almost as if that's the day you're born again, and then you've got to start the new conditioning, the new releasing. But I can say this, it took me 47 years to get to where, it took me, say, 40 years to become the me that I thought that I was. And it took me maybe 7 months to undo all of that in being in the work all the time. So it doesn't take another 40 years to undo it. It just takes a concentrated willingness and a commitment to master this piece of life. Because if you can't master the inner world, I can tell you now, there's no chance you'll ever master the outside world. No chance. And we are putting so much energy trying to master that outside world, and it's never working out the way that we want it because we haven't mastered the inner world, which is the driver.
So say, if for me, simple steps with how I work with clients is that they'll tend to email me or inbox me or something random, so frustrated, this is what happened. In the moment, they let it out, and that's their space to be able to just go. Next time I see them, then we go, rightio, we sit with that and we explore it, but it's reflective. It's not in the moment. So we explore what happened and where did that belief system come from. And then in terms of then doing the work with them around that belief system or shifting it, and you'll see the pennies start to fall and they'll drop. And from there, when you release or, using EFT methods, that you can look at if you didn't have this feeling or this belief, what would life be like? Innately, the same is peacefulness, connection, love, clarity and freedom, like all those words. It's they're the common ones between everybody. So, and, getting them to ground themselves in a place of where they feel that at what point. And a lot of people will go to the beach. It's always a memory on the beach with their family or on a honeymoon that they felt exactly that way. So when you do the work, you flip in between and then you confuse this belief system of the story of the moment, and then you go ground yourself in the happy place, and then you go back here and then go back there. And what you'll do is you'll take the 10 intensity down to a 0, and then you can flip the memory or you can flip the situation. So in terms of simple steps of being able to do that, and then you'll find that the next time that the situation arises in their life, they handle it differently. So the sky is still blue, but they realize they have their own ability to respond to that situation in a different way, not what they were programmed to do.
Mm-hmm. Totally,
yeah.
Definitely.
So in practical terms, that's how, as a practitioner, to support someone else in that place.
And do you find that, I mean, one of the greatest things I've learned from Karen, and particularly Cindy and I are always talking about what would Karen say? What would Karen do?
How would Karen react? What would love do? What would Karen do?
For me, it's as simple as taking a deep breath. The minute I feel a charge or I feel something coming up, it's taking a deep breath. For me, I then anchor with my oils. I'll snort on something. But more importantly, it's actually shut the hell up, as in don't verbalize it. Yep. Just internalize it. Why am I feeling that? And that's interesting. Why am I feeling that? And that's interesting. And for me, one of the physical things I do is I'll take myself for a run and then process it on a run so I don't have the outside influence. Now, you can't always run from a situation. But I'm curious as to us all finding that space. I mean, how do you do it when you get the charge? Like,
well, I had a charge this morning, which was really interesting. I got up and was ready to go for my swim at 6, and somebody made 2 snide remarks that I knew they were snide and not just flippant. And I was swimming with them, and I was swimming with great aggression. I was just like going crazy. And it was actually quite hilarious. And in my mind, I'm like going, okay, what's my comeback? What am I going to come back with to this person? And the funniest thing happened is that we're swimming along together and he gets hit by another person.
I thought you were going to say shark.
No, he gets hit, like we're in the ocean, and he gets head on. It's a head on.
How does that happen? Somebody's coming the other way.
Someone's coming the other way. And I was watching that he was looking ahead. So I'm thinking, I'm not looking ahead. He's looking ahead. He can do all the hard work. And we get to a point and he hits this guy head on, which doesn't happen often in the ocean. Yeah. And they stop and they both look a bit stunned. And the other guy swims off. He says, I'm sorry. And he swims off. And I just said to this guy, I go, are you okay? Where did you get hit? He said, on the top of my head. And I went, you know what? I think we should go inshore just in case. You know, I'm not good in emergency situations, but I'm really good at chronic. And then I let it go because he was having a dig that, you know, about autoimmune diseases and gluten-free, and he was having digs like that and chiropractic, and I was furious. I was just went, no, you can't do that, you know. So, yeah. So there's a specific thing that happened is that I was getting it out in my swim, and then a situation presented itself beautifully. And then I forgot about it. And it wasn't until you guys started to talk about it that I realized that was, you know, that pushed my buttons.
It was God smacking him on the head to wake him up.
I just loved it. It was just perfect. But, yeah, it's funny when you were all talking about it, because I believe that I've always looked at the world as the sunny world. I've never seen it as a dark world. But my sister, who was brought up in the same place with the same parents, same siblings, we were all in the same together, saw life and saw everything very dark. So it's about perception, I think, of how you perceive a situation. Like, if I was probably okay, he would have made that flippant remark, and I would have just, you know, not even thought about it. But for some reason, I got my hackles up on that one. So I don't know what it is. Is it perception of how you perceive a situation? Because we all perceive situations differently. You know, Howard will say he's an ex-policeman. If he went to an accident and he asked everybody what happened in the accident, everybody saw something different, even a different coloured car. So so I keep thinking, is it where we are as far as are we feeling good about ourselves or not? Did we just wake up? I don't know what it is. Are we hungry? Are we tired? And then the situation comes, and you know, sometimes you can just flippantly throw it off, but other times you can't. So I don't know. I feel like there's lots of parameters there, but I don't know how I, you know, get through that, except I can just tell you what happened to me this morning, and I'll forget about this. It will be off on another tangent another time. And that's what I find as I get through situations, I deal with them, and then I forget about them. And my husband goes, "Don't you remember that?" I know. it all. You know, he'll go, don't you remember they did this to you? And I, no. I just throw it off. So I'm wondering, why do we perceive an event differently? So one person may go through an event and it will make them a better person. Another person will go through that event and it will destroy them.
Yeah. I think it's that choice of innately who you are and where you want to head. Like, as a choice, when I left my marriage, I never wanted to be a victim. I didn't even want to be a survivor. But I have to say, I had a belief that all men were bad. And that was a belief system that I then went into 5 years of DV counselling, and I really reinforced that belief system, didn't I?
Oh, yeah.
That this world was a dark place and all men are just abusive, because 1 in 4 women are abused, right? So I had this evidence that I could continually back that up. And, so my mind was very aware of what that and how I reinforced it. Now I've done the work is that I realised, to me, there's no gender. Male and female, we're all the same. And there are so many beautiful men out there. But I had to look at my inner story and what I was scared of and afraid of. And I mean, I publicly hope that one day I can say sorry to all the men that I thought were really mean, and it hurts me now to think that I had that belief system. But I think when we create a belief system, we look for reasons why and back it up. There's my evidence. This is why. And so, as
we look for evidence.
We look for evidence, and then it's the same. My butt's too big. I'm going to look for evidence around why and reinforce that belief system. And we can do it on so many different levels. And I think that's where, in my own personal life, I made choices. I don't watch TV. I don't participate in Women's Weekly magazines. I don't read that in my home. I'm very conscious about how I influence my life and who is in my life and how I want my life to be influenced. Because I know that my brain is highly susceptible, So I do look at how I look after myself. and I think that's where, when we look at that empowerment and self-inquiry, we can understand who we are and look at the soul rather than from what's happening from the world towards us. So and switch that view.
Elspeth, how old are you now?
I'm 31.
You've lived such a big life. Tell us what your vision is then with your Food for Life cafe, with being a mum. How do you want to project onto your children? What's your dream? What's your vision? What's your big hopes?
Oh, wow. That's like 2 bottles of wine. No, my dream, look, the Food for Life Cap, ultimately my philosophy is to heal one community at a time. But I also really, really enjoy working collaboratively with other businesses and with other health practitioners. So the cafe for me is a hub. I get that community that support, and we can do it on the ground. And education is, I would like to see another mode of medical care in terms of that alternative approach, where we have more integrative hubs and practitioners working together, doing case studies, and then having that research team behind it, that we can collaborate between different practitioners and researchers, that together, because we care about health, that we're doing it. So I have a quite big long-term goal. I'd love to have a farm in Toowoomba where people can come and stay, grow veggies, a bit similar to Cindy. So
can we franchise farms?
We can, yeah. And some people have asked, can you franchise your cafe? And I'm like, look, I've only been doing this for 6 months. Let me even get my head around one, let alone franchise it. But
it's such a beautiful opening, though, Elspeth.
Yeah, it was
it's such
special.
a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
I know there's a cafe down here that is having movie nights, not as regularly as what you're doing, and it's not as obviously as organised as what you're doing, but I don't think that that's a silly thing, because people are looking for communities to find their health again.
Yeah.
We've become...
Talking to other franchisees and franchisors in terms of the business model have to look so different. And that's because innately it's got to be someone who wants to drive it within their community, but utilise the whole support and the system. So that even in itself, when talking to business coaches, is a bit of a, how does that look? So that will, I think, grow in its own organic way. So I will leave that space to the universe, is what I do to a lot of things when I have my ideas and I have that deep connection of knowing of where this is heading. I don't have the human power to even go, this is what I'm going to do. I've just got to have faith. And that's what drives my whole business. It's what's driven me to get here today, is to have faith. And, you know, let it go and not put too much thought into it, because human logic's not really make sense. You know, if you put the emotion into it, I go, no, this is too big, universe, here, take it, and you can help me with it.
And you are so right, because the universe then presents somebody or something or a situation which you go, oh, wow, that's going to take me where I need to go. This person can help me, or that situation can help me. And it could be, you know, I see it all the time. I see these little, these people that come into my life that absolutely flip it around, because it flips my way of thinking around. And I realize that's the direction I have to go in, not realizing it at the time, but it's in hindsight. I look back. If that didn't happen, I wouldn't be here right now. So 100%. It's the perfect way of doing it, and rather trying to control everything, it's just
let it be.
Yeah.
What are some of your rituals then on a daily basis for you?
My rituals. Okay. So I like to wake up and meditate. Do I put the coffee enema thing in there? I think Kirsty Worth will like that one. And all the enema-loving people. So start the day like that. And then...
do you really?
Of course I do. Yes, I love them. It's just one of those things.
It's like drinking coffee.
It's your morning coffee. It's just a completely different experience, right? And this
long blacking up your arm.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Could be a short black too.
Anyway.
There's no milk though.
Yeah.
You do that too?
I actually don't, no, but I know a lot of people.
A lot of us do.
Yeah,
I've got one in my cupboard. I still haven't used it.
Yeah,
I'm like you. I've got one in my cupboard and I still haven't used it.
So it depends how personal do you want to get? No, we'll keep going. So
can I just ask, what's the benefit?
It really gets the liver going, and a lot of people who are in a really bad space in their life, as far as their gut issues or they've got chronic fatigue, that simple act can change their whole everything in their body, in their mind. It's a savior when you're starting to get well. It's an absolute savior, and I've seen it many times be the savior of many people. And you know, cultures have been doing it for a long time. It's a European cultural thing to do this. It's just, for some reason, we live in a country that is so enclosed into themselves.
I know.
If that's it. Nice
work.
They're not looking outside what we do and realizing that there are other options out there. And I see this all the time. Like I'm just going to digress here. Like the DAA say, oh, saturated fat is bad. You know, this is the whole thing. But cultures around the world eat 50% saturated fat and have healthy lives. So you cannot tell me that they're not looking outside in order to, or look in a historical perspective. And in my way of thinking, we need to look at other cultures, other perspectives. What did we used to do? And we're coming back to that.
Yeah. But don't you also diet to the microbiome? Is that they are high saturated fat diets, but I'd also question what their microbiome looks like as well. You know, like there's a whole, I mean, you've got to look at the whole picture. I mean, we are so insular in how we look at our living, and it's, you know, I mean, we're just getting more toxic. But anyway, I'll go back to my rituals.
Yes.
Rituals. So I like to
The short black
exercise.
coffee on it.
Short black coffee.
Yeah.
I like to do my exercise. I like to put my every morning when I get to the cafe, I'll have my bulletproof turmeric coffee, and then I'll put my diffusers on, and I'll ask my staff, "What do you want on today, guys?" And they're like, to come to a place to work, and this is, we have such a beautiful culture, and I've got the best staff, they just to come to a place where they go, "What oil are we going to put on?" Like, really? That's awesome, yeah? It's awesome. So together we have our own little rituals, and I have my rituals with my kids, and so exercise is a big one for me at the moment, is moving my body and getting outside. And at nighttime I've been flight moding my phone, and I read. I've been reading quite a number of different books at the moment on spirituality. So I've been heading down in that direction and just sitting with that and those thoughts and those inquiries about who am I.
So tell me the book you're reading right now. And
It's called Who Am I at the moment. And I had a beautiful friend of mine in Toowoomba. He just lent it to me, and because he knows that journey that I'm on, and he's Indian, and he's amazing. And I said to him, "Can you do meditation classes?" He said, "Elspeth, I'm not an awakened being. I can't do that." I was like, really?
you don't have to be awake.
But he in terms of his own self, so in terms of that journey, that is my honour for me at the moment. But I suppose I try and do a lot of things every day that are my ritual. Cuddling my kids, in bed. Like my son at the moment, I'm just giving so much gratitude to the world that he still lets me tickle him, and he'll whack his arm up, "Mum, tickle, tickle, tickle." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, I'm tickling you because I know that it's going to end soon," So, so I suppose when I look at just those moments, I create small rituals in little moments every day that I can cherish. And
I get the sense with you that you're I think the wonderful thing that you are presenting here is just a really authentic being in the moment, which for many of us, we think ahead, or you call it out of time. But you're a very in-time person, it seems.
Try to be. That's what I'm practicing.
I'm not saying on time.
Yeah.
No.
But in time.
Yeah.
So what would be your greatest wish for your children in this time, and particularly with the amount of information and stuff that's going on out there?
I mean, the biggest gift we could give our kids, and my kids, is their own self-love and self-compassion. Every day talking to both of my children about their own insecurity and their own, how they perceive their world. I mean, my children have had a pretty tough life. Like, they've got some complex issues that they've dealt with and know about and never should have. They should never have really understood that until maybe they were older. They've dealt with a sibling pass away this year, which was quite a random death, and they've asked lots of questions. Why is this? Why is that? Charlotte tends to see angels, and she'll talk about things that she sees. So in terms of, I try and nurture her and say, you need to accept you and honour that, and don't hide that part. But at school's tough for them as well. So Charlotte's been through a bit of bullying, and she, because of her maturity level, how she fits in, and Felix is he's a mover and a shaker, and he's not a sit down pen and paper kind of boy. He's very busy. So that's the biggest message for them, is how to be at peace with them and love them.
So how do you teach your children all the things that you and Karen have been talking about around that self-love? Like, what's the simplicity behind that?
To me, to role model that in the best way I can, and to have that open discussion and put it on the table. I get eye rolls all the time, mind you. I am, Mum, you have no idea. Even food, like eating, healthy food and things like that, is I give that fluidity of that movement between, you know, them finding themselves and coming back. Charlotte naturally is asking for broth this week. Where did that come from? But, you know, in terms of allowing her to just have that ability to be them, and I love them and accept them exactly for where they're at, even if they're, you know, in their moment. I mean, getting good role models in her life as well. So my staff nurture her and nurtures Felix a lot too. And I do believe it takes a community to raise a child, and I know I can't do it alone. So I do welcome people to do that, and give them as broad of an experience so that, you know, traveling Vietnam, Cambodia, you know, going to New Zealand and so forth is opening up their eyes that there's other things out there, and do that complex conversation. You know, Charlotte did a poem this year, last term, on the phenomenal woman. So she had to inquire about that. And at the time, Fuad was staying with us. And Fuad and Charlotte sat together, and he really, you know, did that inquiry. And I sat there, I went, this is just beautiful, you know. And as a man, Charlotte, you know, has her own things around that. And, you know, she said, I don't trust people. And Fuad's like, well, you know, you're talking to me openly, and we're talking about the phenomenal woman and what women are. And you know, he made her really inquire. So
he would have been perfect.
Oh, he was perfect.
He would have just been perfect.
Yeah, you know, I mean, in Toowoomba, like, Fuad is, everyone's in love with him. Like, my staff talk about him every day. Yeah. Everyone's in love with him.
We all fight over him. Yeah.
I know. He tells me, I said, Kim and Cindy are fighting over me. Elspeth.
They're only human.
Yeah, and now we've just got to get him enrolled into the Changing Habits.
Yes, Elspeth, you're doing.
I'm trying. I'm trying.
He's coming to the one day, and he and Joe are very serious about it. So I'm looking forward to having those two there, because, you know, the information is needed.
Yes.
We need to get that information out there. Yeah,
definitely. So does that answer your question?
And I'm interested in you, because you're such a busy soul. You give so much. You've been through a lot. What's your philosophy for living?
My philosophy for living. So I have a lot of different elements in how I look at my life. So obviously my diet and health, and what I feed my body, and how I honour my body with what I need every day. So I'm a little bit habitual in how I eat, very simple with how I eat. I don't really get too complex, and my staff laugh at me thinking I probably eat more salt than anything else. No. But, so they have a bit of a joke about it. And so having my connection with my family and, you know, my social life, that's been a little bit on the downer, but hopefully we'll pick that back up. I love educating myself. I love learning. So
really?
I love it.
What was your first clue?
So I am a bit of I don't know where that will stop. Like, I don't know where that will take me.
It will never stop.
Yeah, I mean, I want to do my PhD, and I want to, but I know that there's an element where I probably have to take a break, because I am tired, and just give my brain a bit of rest, and really sort of ground the whole business thing at the moment. And doing my rituals, making sure I know if I don't body boost every day, and I don't put my diffuser on, and there's certain things that are my little, Elspeth, you know, be more mindful tomorrow, because I know that that's part of my whole day, and how to, you know, use my oils to actually support me every day. So I've been doing a lot of clary sage at the moment for clarity, frankincense for strength, and I'm doing lemongrass this morning. So, you know, spirituality is a big one, and I'm not, in terms of a religion, I'm not attached to any religion, but in terms of my own connection with me, that's my spirituality. That's how I talk about it. So I do really do a lot of inquiry around that, and my whole, how I'm connected to this world and why I'm here. So I do a lot of work in that area, and movement. And so I look at it, like a lotus leaf, like a flower. Flowers mean a lot to me in my life. Multifaceted, lots of petals, lots of colour. That's me.
And that's a really good summary.
Yeah.
Multifaceted, lots of colour, lots of petals. That's me.
But to honour each element of that.
When we asked you to come onto the podcast for today, what was your thoughts and what would be your hope from the podcast, and how did you feel about coming on the show?
I was like, do I say anything to anybody? I don't know. And I was like, right, okay, I've got to. Obviously, I had my appointment with my supervisor this morning. I was like, I'm at the coast, but this is perfect timing. And it just was in sync. And that's it. Universe makes things happen. And to be here physically is amazing. I just thought, I'll let it be. And whatever it is will be it. Because Jen said to me at work, she said, well, what are you going to talk about? I said, I'm not going to think about it. I will tomorrow let it be, and whatever message comes out of that will be the way it is. I mean,
so how can people find you? Because you're
especially
such an amazing
song. How can they find the cafe in Toowoomba? Because we have lots of listeners in Toowoomba. So how can they find the cafe? What's your website? What's your Facebook page?
Okay, let me go through the lot. Okay, so the cafe is at 18 Hill Street in Toowoomba, next to Grand Central, the big shopping centre there. My website is www.foodforlifecoach.com.au. My Facebook page, so I've got a few. So I've got Food for Life Cafe. I've got Food for Life Coaching and Counselling, Elspeth Haswell Smith, which is a bit of a mouthful. I also have a Toowoomba Community Health Group page as well, so people can add themselves in there. And all my details are on the website as well. So I do talk to people Skype, so I do have some overseas clients as well in America. So
because that's what I think people might be interested in, is how they can connect with you personally.
I even started a parasite cleanse group yesterday afternoon,
of course
and we
did.
had of course. So we did that, and so we're doing it as a group. So I've got 12 women, and one of them actually Skyped in from Melbourne. And then last night, even someone rang the cafe yesterday and said, "We want 2 cultures, Kirsty's cultures." And they were like, "Oh, yeah, Elspeth's driving to the Sunshine Coast tonight." So I met her at the BP at Landsborough and dropped them off, didn't I? Right? So what I love about my staff is they think the same way. There is never no. We can do it somehow. Like we find that
I
way.
love that.
So anyway, so that's what
never
we do.
A no. We'll
it's
do
never
it
no.
some way.
We'll find a way to do it. Whatever way it is, there's, if someone says to me no, Elspeth charged harder. There's this, it's like a red flag. And I'll go, I'll show you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's how you can find me. And email, a lot of people email me too, and yeah.
I would love to just summarise by saying you were the first person who completed Cindy's Changing Habits program. You were the very first person to finish that in 11 months. So I think you've set the bar.
I think it was less than 11 months, wasn't it? We started in February and you finished by...
Well, I got my certificate today a year ago. That was my memory on Facebook this morning, was my picture with Cindy. So I would have finished September. So what's that?
You did it pretty fast.
7 months.
Yeah.
And they have 2 years to do it. So you completed that. You did the HLE program around the same time.
Yep.
You were also studying and working through the university and setting up your businesses.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the reasons why we were so excited to have you on the show is because you are someone who doesn't say no, and you are someone who obviously is thriving with that. I am very proud of the fact that you are recognising you're exhausted.
I can easily say that. And I know what I've got to do to nurture myself through that. So
the skills are important, I think. Whenever we fall down, we need to know the skills to get back up again.
To do it.
Resilience.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, you beautiful soul.
Thank you.
For being a part of the show. We have been absolutely in awe of you. We all look up to you and we all love being a part of your world. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart and Cindy's and Karen's for showing up, for showing people what it means to show up. I think that's one of the greatest skills you have, and I think it's a real honour to have you in our lives.
I agree.
Thank you.
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here looking at you thinking, you're 31. To have lived such a full life and experienced so much of life. It's just like, imagine what's going to become possible for you as the years unfold. Like, it's just,
I know.
it's just such an extraordinary journey that you're on.
Well, you'll all be beside me. We know that. Maybe one day I'll move back. Oh, well, I tried to move here last year, but
Will you come back to the coast?
I'd love to, in a heartbeat. But at the moment, Toowoomba is my home. It's my hub. But like Kim said, maybe I should open up a Food for Life cafe in the Sunshine Coast. I don't know.
Then you can go between the
I
two.
can go between the
Absolutely.
two.
Go between the two.
Who knows? We'll just see. Watch that space. Watch that space.
Food for life.
Gorgeous.
Oh, how awesome. Well, thank you so much for being a part of
Thank
today's
you.
show and for sharing yourself so authentically and genuinely. I think you've really probably touched the hearts and minds of so many of our listeners, and it's been such a treat. You're a beautiful soul.
Oh, thank
You really are. So for all of our listeners, we hope you've loved Elspeth as much as we love her. You've got all of her contact details, and we'll make sure that they're in the show notes as well. So if you want to reach out to Elspeth, go ahead and do that. Don't hold yourself back. She's somebody who's totally open and willing to have conversations and make shizzle happen. So I nearly just, no. So go ahead and reach out to her. If you want to leave us any comments or questions, go to allthews.facebook.com/up-for-a-chat. Alternatively, you can leave your comments and questions at allthews.wellnesscouch.com/up-for-a-chat. So join us here next week on Up for a Chat and become part of the ripple effect that is totally and utterly changing the world from the inside out. We'll see you on the ride.
This has been a production of TheWellnessCouch.com. Check us out on Facebook and join in the conversation on Facebook.com/TheWellnessCouch. Subscribe to each show on iTunes and check us out on Twitter. The Wellness Couch, streaming wellness into your lives. Whilst the Wellness Couch presenter endeavor to provide accurate and helpful information to their listeners, these podcasts cannot take into account individual circumstances and are not intended to be a substitute for health and medical advice from a qualified health professional. You should always seek the advice of a qualified health professional before acting on any of the information provided by any of the Wellness Couch podcasts.